Inside the Magic, show number 435 for August 4th, 2013. It is Sunday, August 4th, 2013. This is show 435 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I am your host, Ricky Briganti, with a big show leading up to the D23 Expo in just a few days, but of course we won't only be talking about that, talking about many other fun things this week as well, and before we get to all of it, I invite you to visit our website over at InsideTheMagic.net. There you'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and plenty more. And if you ever have any news, tips, questions, comments, really anything that you want to send in, you can do so by emailing me at ricky@InsideTheMagic.net. Or you can call and leave a message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you once again by Magical Travel. There is a special place where kids can train to be a pirate with Captain Hook while parents are off lounging the day away at an adult-exclusive pool. Let Magical Travel help you plan the perfect Disney Cruise Line vacation for your family, and free shipboard credit is available with each booking, but you're going to want to book now for the best availability and pricing by calling Magical Travel today at 866-207-8387 or visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And while you're doing that, be sure to mention Inside the Magic to receive a free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And of course, thanks very much to all of our contributors to the show, including this week David Brookover and actually Dave Brookover. It's probably David, but I'll say Dave, and Christopher Good for your donations, and of course to all of our monthly recurring donation subscribers and anyone clicking through those affiliate links over on the Inside the Magic homepage. It all supports the show, and I do thank all of you, as well as Dave and Christopher, for all of it. Anyway, now let's get started with our trip around the world. Sorry, I was mesmerized by the marimba, or whatever that is. A little Adventureland fun on the show this week for no reason whatsoever. Just don't play enough Adventureland music, really. I think this is used in Animal Kingdom also. Anyway, let's get into some news this week. Of course, as I mentioned at the top of the show, D23 Expo is indeed coming up in just a few days. Big, exciting. It is, of course, the 2013 D23 Expo. It's taking place this week, beginning Friday, August 9th, continuing through the weekend on Saturday and Sunday as well. And the full schedule was finally released this week, though they seem to still be adding little tidbits of things here and there to it. But for the most part, the full schedule is available not only on D23's website, but also over on InsideTheMagic.net. I've got a nice handy post of the whole thing kind of wrapped all together for your easy browsing, so you can see exactly what's going to be there, whether you're going to be there or not. Definitely fun to sort of look through there and see all the different assortment of panels, presentations, exhibits, special events, etc., that are going to be going on throughout this big Disney fan celebration in Anaheim. I'm really looking forward to bringing all the coverage to you over the course of those days. I have set up some handy sites for you to do that. I'll be live blogging it over on InsideTheMagic.net. The easy way to get all the coverage throughout the D23 Expo. Not only, of course, follow us on Twitter and Facebook and on YouTube, but also if you want to see it all unfold right there on the website, InsideTheMagic.net/D23 Expo is where you're going to go. Just, hit that as often as you feel like to see whenever the newest articles and wrap-ups and photo galleries and videos and all that stuff is posted. And then if you want to follow along live, you can go to InsideTheMagic.net/D23 Expo live. And that, once the expo begins, is where I'll be posting things, live stream of photos and updates and information and all of that, and then, the wrap-ups there to follow. So definitely follow along throughout the exciting event. It's going to be a lot of fun, as it has been in 2009 and 2011. So some of the things that they added to the schedule this week, if you're going to go look at that, there's, of course, the Imagineering panels. This year, there is no Disney Parks and Resorts presentation. Instead, they're having a series of Imagineering-based panels on specific topics, so you can check out the schedule to see what those are. They've they've also noted that they've added Nick Patera. You might recognize his name as a YouTube sensation. He also happens to be a Pixar employee, and he's done some really pretty impressive vocal performances. I think his first video was singing a song from Aladdin, where he sang both as Aladdin and Princess Jasmine, very convincingly. Anyway, he's going to be performing a couple of times at the Expo, so that should be a lot of fun. Of course, the highlight of the D23 Expo, naturally, won't be at the Expo itself. It's going to be our Inside the Magic meetup, along with Paul Berry from Window to the Magic. We're having our joint meetup once again this year at Trader Sam's. It's going to be on the first night, August 9th, whether you're going to the Expo or not. If you're in the area, you don't have to have a credential to get into this. All you have to do is show up to Trader Sam's. We've got an RSVP list over on Facebook. If you go to InsideTheMagic.net and search for, Meetup or Trader Sam's or whatever, you'll see all the information there. It'll link you over to Facebook where you can RSVP as well. It's not required, but it's sort of giving us an idea of how many people are going to show up, and it is a lot of people. We've got, I don't know, last I checked, it was something like 140 yes and another 70-something maybe. Fortunately, Disney has said they are expanding Trader Sam's temporarily during the D23 Expo. They're, of course, expecting a lot of fans to show up there, and I'm sure they've seen that our meetup is going to happen and other people's meetups as well, so they're going to be expanding it outward and near the pool and Frontier and Adventure Towers, and so that'll be good to hold everybody. Also, it's worth mentioning here that the first 100 or so people that show up to the meetup are going to get some special, exclusive, limited edition, other adjectives here, Trader Sam's meetup lanyards with the Inside the Magic and Window to the Magic and the date and all of that on there. So definitely show up early if you want to get your hands on that. Of course, those lanyards are courtesy of lanyardlab.com, naturally. In addition, our friends over at tikified.com have supplied a handful of great t-shirts in a variety of sizes featuring their, Tikified Disney designs. So check out those designs over at tikified.com, and if you come to the meetup, you'll have a chance to maybe walk away with one of those shirts, maybe a few other surprises. I don't know. Paul and I are trying to come up with some fun things to share there. So that is our meetup for the D23 Expo. I hope to see you there. Now, with all of that out of the way, how about we actually get to some news this week, starting with The Optimist. A lot of you wrote in from after last week's show and after the ongoing coverage over on our website and about this alternate reality game that Disney's been putting on in promotion of the film Tomorrowland, which doesn't even come out until next year, quite a while away, actually, end of next year, I believe. But a lot of you really enjoyed what I shared on last week's show related to that, so I thought I'd just give a brief sort of rundown of the latest installment in what happened this week. There actually wasn't as much activity, but what did happen was very, very exciting. The character Wallace in the Optimist game has been posting some artwork to his website, which is DisneyCartography.com, and there, different pieces of artwork that led to different clues at Disneyland or around Los Angeles. I've talked about it for the last week or two, and so the final clue on this one particular piece of artwork was called The Bench, and it had a date of August 1st, and a time of early in the morning, just after Rope Drop, right when the park was opening at Disneyland, of course. And anybody who's thinking about, The Bench at Disneyland, everybody knows, or many Disney fans would immediately think of that famous bench that's at the front of the Opera House / Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln. This is a bench from Griffith Park where it's said that Walt Disney sat there, watching his kids play and thought, there should be somewhere that adults and children can have fun together, and thus Disneyland was born. So that bench is there, and of course nobody knew exactly why they were arriving to the bench, but shortly thereafter, that character that I just mentioned, Wallace, made his first live in-person appearance inside the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln Theater. He gave sort of a little introduction to the morning's events, said he'd be posting some new artwork online shortly, talked a little bit about Edison Square, which is an interesting piece of Disney history there. Edison Square was a small land, kind of an offshoot of Main Street that was planned for the original Disneyland years ago. There was a variety of blueprints and maps and that kind of stuff that were drawn up for Edison Square. It was just never built. One of those concepts that never happened. So he talked up that a little bit and then let the groups, maybe 30 or 40 people, maybe 50 people at the most, showed up for this event. And from there, in smaller groups, everybody was led over to a very, very special place inside Disneyland, and that is Walt's apartment above the firehouse in Town Square / Main Street. Of course, the only way currently to visit Walt Disney's private apartment in the park is to book the Walk in Walt's Disneyland Footsteps tour, and prior to the change in that tour, maybe about a year ago or so, maybe even a little bit less, there really was no way to visit this, and certainly no way to peek in or even walk in for free. So for the Optimist game to give fans an opportunity to walk through Walt's apartment, definitely a really amazing perk that is normally not offered, sort of just part of a day at Disneyland. So pretty amazing there. No photos or video were allowed, unfortunately, inside, as is generally the case when people are going through Walt's apartment, though there are, various photos and video that are online. I posted some video this week over on a YouTube channel from my visit back in January. I think it was January, maybe it was late last year, when they were promoting Epic Mickey 2. Disney Interactive took a tour group into Walt's apartment, and they shot some video then. So I've shared that sort of as an accompaniment to all of this. And so that visit to Walt's apartment was fairly standard. It was exciting, certainly, as it always is, but as far as what was said, the spiel, the history of it all, that was fairly standard. And then from there, shortly thereafter, after all the groups had gone through the apartment, Wallace indeed posted some new artwork themed to Edison Square. In fact, it was sort of an overview of Edison Square, or what it may have been, over on his website, and it had some clues on there, of course, naturally, for a couple of things to hunt around Disneyland. And those who were there began their quest over to the wheelhouse of the Mark Twain. On the way out there, a certificate was handed out, and in the bottom right-hand corner of this special certificate was a date. It was noon on Saturday of May 21st, 1932. Quick Google search will tell you that is Amelia Earhart, the date of her transatlantic flight. So that's a little bit of a clue there. And then the other piece on the artwork looked like the People Mover track in Tomorrowland, and so riding the Astro Orbiter, you could see a few shapes were added to the track, of a circle, a diamond, and then another circle. And then nobody knew really what that meant from there, but that was kind of the end of the quest for the day. Now, in the meantime, of course, I was talking about the D23 Expo. Well, the D23 Expo guidebook was posted online, and in there, on one of the pages, is a full-page ad for cartography by Disney. So in the D23 guidebook, D23 Expo guidebook, there is a reference to the Optimist game, because this is where it's all going to culminate. Now, inside, in this full page ad in the Expo guidebook, it says to visit Wallace at booth number 539. It has a little bit of a code in there, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who wants to sort of play along and figure out the code, but if you decipher it and you figure out the secret word and you go to that booth and you tell them the secret word, then you'll have a chance to something surprise will happen of some sort. So that's what's going on with that for now. Ultimately, the clues that were found in the park did lead to another online game at disneycartography.com/ES if you want to go sort of mess around with that, see if you can figure out those clues. There we are. There's only one more planned event that we know of leading up to the D23 Expo related to the Optimist, and that's a live chat with Wallace. I guess it's going to be on Twitter tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Be answering some questions, and then who knows if he'll throw out a few extra clues that'll lead up to some more events before the expo starts, or if that will really just be it until whatever this culmination is at the expo. I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of this wraps up. It's certainly pretty exciting for Disney to put on all these, the scavenger hunt around LA and through Disneyland, and all these clues and characters and interactions online and sending things out in the mail to people. It's a pretty involved alternate reality game, all somehow in promotion of Tomorrowland. It hasn't really tied in quite yet, but I have a feeling that'll become obvious at the expo. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all turns out. Now, of course, recently I was talking about San Diego Comic-Con, and one sort of final note that came out of that was I had a chance to play Disney Infinity for quite some time in an off-site event out at in San Diego. So this week I posted an article over on InsideTheMagic.net of my thoughts of sort of hands-on with the toy box mode of Disney Infinity. I played it for at least 45 minutes, just kind of messing around in toy box mode, and it is so much fun. I can't wait for this game to come out. It comes out on August August 18th. Those going to the D23 Expo. I'll have a chance to play it there, as well as a special presentation there about Infinity and other topics as well from Disney Interactive. But I can't wait to get my hands on this game finally when it really comes out. Hop on some multiplayer. We'll have to have some Inside the Magic play sessions online or something, because Toy Box mode is just so much fun. Anyway, if you want to read more about my thoughts on that, head over to the website. So here is this week's limited time magic update, and not too much going on out here at Walt Disney World this week, but at Disneyland, the next round of voting has begun for Long Lost Friends, similar to what happened out here at Walt Disney World just a couple of weeks ago. The list is pretty similar to what we've already seen, although there were some noteworthy additions. Scrooge McDuck and Ludwig von Drake are there once again. Lewis and Dr. Facilier, like we're just out here, are on the list as well. But also on the list to vote are Merlin, Esmeralda, Clopin, and Frollo, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather, Pocahontas, John Smith, Miko, and Governor Radcliffe, and Hercules and Meg. So definitely some rare characters in there, along with a whole bunch of others. So I think that voting concludes tomorrow. So you want to head over to the Disney Parks blog if you want to chime in and see, have your thoughts on what the next Disneyland Long Lost Friends will be as part of Limited Time Magic. No word as to exactly when those meet and greets will take place, if it'll be this coming week or the next or sometime after that. I don't know. We're not sure yet, but that's what's going on for now. And kind of as a side note here, if they don't end up doing any kind of limited time magic special thing for Disneyland while the D23 Expo is going on, that's a little bit disappointing, I think. And I don't know yet if that's going to be the case. They might announce something this week. They might announce something on Friday when the Expo starts that something special is going on, and I hope so, because that seems like a little bit of a missed opportunity, especially with a lot of folks extending their trips either before or after, with extra days at Disneyland, because there's not a lot of time during the Expo. A lot of fans in town certainly, and would be nice to have that extra treat, but we don't know of anything quite yet. So out here at Walt Disney World, the news of the week was that Walt Disney World has confirmed the relocation of the popular Festival of the Lion King stage show at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Of course, it's been at Camp Mini Mickey in the park since the park opened, pretty much. And now the new theater is being built in the Africa section of the park, set to open next year, 2014. The reason for this, of course, Disney hasn't said it officially, but the reason is Avatar. Camp Mini Mickey, that area is going to be where Pandora is going to be built. Of course, Disney recently relocated Mickey and Minnie's meet and greet out of Camp Mini Mickey into the new Adventurers Outpost elsewhere in the park. So little by little, they're sort of vacating Camp Mini Mickey, and Avatar is slowly but surely moving along for that park. And apparently a casting notice went up online for two characters that we don't really know yet, but we certainly will very soon. Elsa and Anna from Disney's upcoming film Frozen. There's a casting call for August 18th and for Walt Disney World, and the casting call says that those who are hired should expect to work within 4 weeks. So sometime in September is pretty soon. We may see Elsa and Anna in the parks well in advance of the November release date of Frozen. Now let's shift gears here away from Walt Disney World and Disney in general over to Universal Orlando, where I was just a few hours ago because I wanted to see the next phase of the Simpsons Springfield expansion of the park. Universal Studios Florida has opened the next area. It's not completely done yet. There's still one last element for them to open, but for the most part, this area is complete with a giant statue of Jebediah Springfield right in the middle of it to obviously show that you are standing in the middle of Springfield. In fact, and the statue looks great. It's huge, much bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's just towering over the area. Also nearby is the Duff Gardens, Duff Brewery, whatever you want to call it, which is a sort of outdoor brick area bar, complete with the 7 little Duffs out front, the topiaries, and also a gift shop nearby in which Duff Man is posing for photos, and he's just sort of a static character, not a walk-around character, but still fun to take a picture with Duff stuff, man. Nearby at the Quickie Mart, Millhouse has been added, sitting on a bench, slurping a Buzz Cola, looking rather innocent. And down the road, there is now Lard Lad Donuts. I thought Jebediah Springfield was big, but this Lard Lad Donuts statue is full-size and humongous. Certainly a new icon for the area. And, of course, nearby there's just the little shack that is Lard Lad Donuts, where you can buy your donuts in Springfield. And then, of course, near the donut shop, none other than Chief Wiggum, who apparently was so excited to get to Lard Lad that he crashed his police car right into a fire hydrant. But he's standing there happily with what I assume to be coffee in his right hand and a bright pink donut in his left, and another static figure that you can take pictures with. And just behind him is the Bumblebee Man Taco Truck, which I had for lunch today. Well, I didn't have the truck for lunch today, but I had the food from the truck for lunch today. They have a variety of tacos, and I had a combo of two different ones, a carne asada as well as a Korean beef taco, and both were actually pretty good. They were much better than the tacos that Universal served at Halloween Horror Nights last year out of a truck in that same spot, so they've definitely improved the recipes there. I wouldn't say the Korean beef taco was necessarily Korean. It didn't really have those, flavors that I would come to expect. There was no, kimchi element to it. It certainly wasn't as spicy as probably a Korean taco should be, but it was still good. It was a little tangy and definitely sweet. So I enjoyed that. And then carne asada taco was also good. It was a ton of guacamole on it. That's really all I tasted, but it was good. I would definitely get those again. And I mentioned there is still one more element of the Simpsons area at Universal that hasn't opened yet. It's expected to open within the next few days. It's the Kang and Kodos Twirl and Hurl, a spinning ride that takes, riders up on a spaceship and Dumbo style. And as you pass by certain sort of like little targets, they spin and make sounds and all of that kind of thing, featuring different characters from the Simpsons universe. So that very well may open before the expo. It's seemingly like it's gonna it seems like it's going to open during the D23 Expo, so I may not actually be here right when that opens, but I'm looking forward to taking a ride on that pretty soon. And the whole Simpsons area just looks great. It's an excellent expansion area, sort of a re-theming of what used to be a rather drab area of Universal. Honestly, I like the Springfield area better than the Simpsons ride itself. Just a nice place to get some good food, sit around, and enjoy, especially if you're a Simpsons fan. Now let's turn to the world of movies. Some surprising news came out just a couple of days ago. Walt Disney Studios announced they are developing a film adaptation of the best-selling book series Artemis Fowl, along with producer Harvey Weinstein. It's going to be at least this film, which I'm sure they hope is going to turn into a film franchise. The first film is going to be based on the first and second installments of Disney Publishing Worldwide's best-selling children's fiction series by author Eowyn Colfer. The screenplay for the film is being written by Michael Goldenberg, who wrote the screenplay for Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and many already are jumping to comparisons between Artemis Fowl as a potential, kids franchise with some crossover appeal to adults as well, just like Harry Potter was. I'm sure Disney's banking on that as well. Robert De Niro and Jane Rosenthal are going to executive produce the project, and Artemis Fowl, for those who don't know, like me, I honestly had never heard of it until I read about this, is about a 12-year-old Artemis boy who is a millionaire, a genius, and a criminal mastermind, but he kidnaps a fairy, Captain Holly Short of the Leprechaun unit, anyway, to harness her magic to save his family. And these aren't the fairies of bedtime stories, they are dangerous. Apparently the Artemis Fowl book series currently has more than 21 million copies in print in 44 languages worldwide, so it's a pretty big deal. And I don't know, we'll see if any news of that comes up at the expo. It seems surprising that Disney would make that announcement just days short of the expo. Seemed like a good thing they could have announced there, but maybe they'll follow up on it with a bit more. We shall see. Now Now let's turn to the world of Star Wars for a couple of tidbits of kind of rumor/news. There could be more, there could be Star Wars on television. We've heard about this live-action project that George Lucas was supposedly working on. Haven't really heard much since. Of course, we know Star Wars Rebels is going to be taking place as an animated series, taking the place of the Clone Wars. Well, ABC head Paul Lee recently said in an interview that conversations have begun with Lucasfilm, between ABC and Lucasfilm, to potentially develop some Star Wars TV shows for that, or at least a TV show. They're certainly looking forward to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. premiering next month, which would bring Marvel to the world of Disney television, so Star Wars may not be far behind. Meanwhile, Disney and Lucasfilm have registered some domain names for the Star Wars franchise, including Star Wars Attack Squadrons, Star Wars Attack Squads, and Star Wars Squads, most likely names of an upcoming video game. And then final bit of news this week is, this is kind of a personal thing. As I mentioned on a previous show at San Diego Comic-Con, I went in costume on one of the days on Saturday. And while I was there, I was dressed as Inspector Gadget. I entered into GameSpot's sort of 3D photo-taking booth where they were going to take a picture with using all these cameras, like 50-plus cameras from all angles of me posing in my costume. And from there, they were going to put that online. You can, spin it around and look at me from all angles in my costume. And then in addition, you can vote. And the top 7 vote getters will receive a 3D printed version of themselves in the costume. The top one, the number 1 spot, is actually going to get a hand-painted version of it as well. So right now, I'm actually in 3rd place over there on that costume contest. So I would ask that it ends August 7th, just a few days from now. So please head over to GameSpot.com/comic-con/3D-costume-cam/588. That's where you'll find me, and all you have to do is click the little like button, the little Facebook like button on there. That casts a vote, and if I get a lot more votes, then I'll work my way up, and certainly it seems like a pretty good chance I'm in the top 7 at least, but that number 1 spot would be pretty cool too. So anyway, I've posted that link over on our Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff anyway. So that will do it for news from around the world this week. And this week's tip is a tip for the D23 Expo. Comes in from Craig, who writes, heading to the D23 Expo, going to Cars Land. If you're planning to ride Radiator Springs Racers and are going to rope drop, make sure you position yourself as far to the right as possible. The daily large crowd that moves down Route 66 toward Racers is condensed to a single file line as it approaches the attraction. And if you are in the front of the crowd, but on the left side, you will quickly find yourself in a 30 to 45 minute wait. Craig, excellent tip there. I had no idea. I don't know if I'm planning on rope dropping anything while I'm out there, but definitely, whether you're at the expo or any other day, that is a good tip for Cars Land. And you know what? I'm going to throw in a tip of my own for the D23 Expo as well. Everybody should become a free member of D23 at D23.com. Completely free to sign up now to get a membership. The perk for the D23 Expo is that if you are a D23 member, free, paid, whatever, you can get into the show floor at 9 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. So definitely everybody going to the expo, you get that extra hour to shop, to browse, to interact with things, to get in line for things, whatever it is. Certainly helps, and it's free, a little free extra that you could do. So there it is. Everybody else, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. Now, I've actually got a whole lot more about the D23 Expo coming up in just a minute with a very special guest on this week's show. But before I get to him, I need to mention Capturing Magic. It is a pair of iPhone apps that are the ultimate tool for documenting and recording the magic of your Disney vacation, whether you're at Disneyland or Walt Disney World. Capturing Magic offers a helpful list of photo opportunities and memories to capture before, during, and after your trip. It's the perfect way to ensure that you don't miss a magical moment. And while you're in the park, parks. The app's going to remind you of the desired photo ops on your list when you are near those locations. And then whenever you take a photo, you can use the app to mark off who's in it, what camera you used, and then later you can easily find, export, and organize the pictures, even emailing yourself that list. So the Capturing Magic iPhone apps are available now in the iTunes App Store. Now, as I just mentioned, I do want to welcome a special guest to this week's show to offer some really great insight into what's coming up at the D23 Expo, along with some tips on how to best manage the lines, use Stage Pass, where you should go, what you should see, what you should not miss, and sort of some of the decisions behind what went into the creation of this year's D23 Expo. And the perfect person to dive into all of that is none other than the head of D23, Stephen Clark. You can't ask for a better person to talk to about all of these topics, because he's the guy in the know. He's behind it all, and he's joining us on this week's Inside the Magic. So let me just start by asking you, the D23 Expo, just a few days away. How are you feeling?
Excited. I think this is one of the best expos we've pulled together yet. Every part of the Walt Disney Company has really come forth with their, best and brightest, and from, talent appearances and behind the scenes looks and costume contests and concerts and, the fan art contest. I mean, everything is really coming together, and, I think we have 3 days of, dare I say, Disney magic for everyone to enjoy.
It's a good way to describe it. From your standpoint, overseeing all of it, what do you think this year's most exciting must-see, everyone's going to be talking about it afterward moments are going to be?
Oh, well, there's a few, and I think one of the things that's important to recognize about an expo is that there's something there for every generation, every age group. I'm bringing my kids, and they are looking forward to all the Disney Junior stuff that's happening, the teens and tweens. I mean, for that group, they could stay at the Disney Channel Pavilion all day long for 3 days, and it would be nirvana. Especially on the heels of the Teen Beach movie, premiere, which was huge.
Right.
The cast is coming; it's gonna be huge for them. There's the things that I think we all know are going to be big, bold, fantastic, and a lot of that happens in the arena. We're starting off with John Lasseter doing an animation presentation. I think, this year we have separated live action and animation because there's just so much great stuff we want to share that, the feedback we got last year was the studio presentation was fantastic, but we had to go to the bathroom.
It was very, very long.
So we heard that feedback, and we've separated them out, and John is pumped, as if you know John Lasseter, which I know you do.
Yes.
He is very excited about sharing as much as he possibly can in the allotted time from Pixar Animation Studios, Walt Disney Animation Studios, and Disney Toon Studios. I know that he has some, talent surprises and musical performance surprises. I happen to know what the musical performance surprise is, and it is just fantastic.
And of course, you're not going to tell me what that is.
And I'm not going to tell you what it is because that is the studio's job, and I don't want to, step on any toes. But it's really going to be something special. So that's definitely not to be missed. And then, as you know, the studio live action presentation is a star-studded affair.
Yeah.
And we have a pretty good track record of not only showcasing a behind-the-scenes look at what's coming from Walt Disney Pictures, and Marvel, and all the pieces of the Disney Studio universe. But looking at getting a chance to see the talent up on stage is a chance you don't get too often. So makes that presentation very special. Now, something that's new that I am very much looking forward to are the two concerts that we're doing in the evenings on Friday and Saturday night. On Friday night, Tom Schumacher's hosting Broadway and Beyond. He's bringing out a lot of our favorite Broadway actors, performers, to do music from Lion King, Mary Poppins, Tarzan, Beauty and the Beast, Aida. And, I've seen sort of a run-through of that concert, and it is it's a very special evening, a very special 90 minutes of the best of Disney on Broadway. And, getting a chance to see Ashley Brown on stage performing as Mary Poppins in this sort of cabaret style format it is magical. It's very special. And, not only do they perform, but they tell you stories about, what it's been like on production, what the songs and storylines mean to them personally, and it is a very intimate, very special opportunity that people aren't afforded to have, very often.
Well, especially not in Anaheim.
Right. It is very rare that you bring this much Broadway talent, to anywhere outside of New York.
Right.
And then I think it goes without saying that the Saturday night, the 6 o'clock performance of Alan Menken and Richard Sherman doing the Disney Songbook, that performance is nothing short of historic. Having these two guys, Disney legends, people who have literally written the Disney Songbook, on stage together, is great. I mean, we've been really thrilled that we've been able to bring D23 members, especially concerts with Richard or a concert with Alan. But having them together, I mean, they're good friends and they're super excited about doing this for us. Knowing what the run of show is and knowing how excited they are and how they feel about the fans and how they feel about Disney, this is a concert that is one for the ages, I think.
Definitely, really looking forward to it. Let's take a step back here a little bit. I kind of want to try to clarify what the D23 Expo is and is not. In 2009, it was new. No one knew what to expect. There were big parks announcements. There was Johnny Depp showing up as Jack Sparrow. And then, those are kind of hard acts to follow. In 2011, it felt kind of like the same format, but didn't have maybe those earth-shattering moments. I mean, there were definitely highlights. And so I think as a result of sort of that huge opening expo, everybody is expecting this big press conference style, big announcements, upcoming things. Looking at this year's schedule, I see something a little bit different, seems like on purpose. What do you think is different about the D23 Expo this year from the previous two?
Well, I mean, Johnny Depp is a hard act to follow. I thought we did a pretty good job with Robert Downey Jr. and the whole cast of the Avengers.
Very true, yep.
That was amazing, I thought. Kevin Feige really, brought his A game.
Yep.
The way you kind of have to look at an expo or the announcements that come from an expo is you have to understand the Walt Disney Company is a living, breathing, creative engine. And, timing for whether it's when clips are ready, when announcements are ready, when talent deals are done, whatever the factors might be, they all impact what can or can't be included, in August of a given year.
Right.
So that's why I think there's a little bit of ebb and flow. And you look at, parks, we had a big year, over the last, year or so with, the opening of Cars Land, the opening of New Fantasyland, the launching of 2 new cruise ships, the groundbreaking of Shanghai Disneyland, things like that. So, and those projects are projects that have, the new ones that are coming online are ones that have a long gestation period. So, if not this expo, then next expo. But I know there will be hints to some exciting things that, for those who are paying attention, which I know all of the people that are your listeners are definitely fall in that category.
Certainly.
So I think people will get some satisfaction out of what's coming. But one thing I do want to point out about parks is that, there's 2 things. First of all, if there's one thing that we've learned from expos is that, and from our members in general, is that there is nothing more gratifying, exciting, than getting a chance to have that sort of inside look at Walt Disney Imagineering,
mm-hmm.
the people, the place itself, all of that. And first and foremost, the Pavilion for parks this year is essentially an open house at 1401 Flower, which is the headquarters of Imagineering in Glendale.
Right.
And you'll see exactly what I mean when you step on the show floor. you are going to walk into that building and experience sort of the creative headquarters of, for our theme parks.
So I've actually been to 1401. So going to the Pavilion at the Expo, it's going to feel eerily similar.
Oh, I don't want to give away too much,
right.
But yes, you can. I think that it's an understatement.
Okay.
You'll know what I mean when you head toward the Pavilion.
Sure.
But it will give you a chance to look at the various creative spaces and offices per se within that environment. That's where I think some of the hints for what's to come might be. You might be able to spy some of those things. But we also are showcasing some very rarely shown or exhibited materials from the Imagineering, the IRC, the Information Research Center, and two of them that I'm particularly proud to say parks are bringing are the original Herb Ryman drawing of Disneyland, that, as you know, was used to sell Disneyland to advertisers and partners.
It's an incredible piece.
It is incredible, and people have seen it before, but not the original. And then the other one is the Peter Ellen Shaw Disneyland painting, where it's a daytime painting, and then you turn off the lights and turn on the black light, and it's Disneyland After Dark, which is another fantastic piece. So for me, for the Disney nerd inside, I mean, that's something that I really am looking forward to seeing. I've seen them in their shelves at the IRC,
right?
But I've never actually seen it out on exhibit in person.
Yeah,
so.
No, I have done the exact same thing. It was on a tour over there, and they pulled out this huge drawer and was like, "This is the original Herb Ryman," and I was just like, "Oh my god, that's amazing."
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, I hope I don't sweat or or anything nearby,
Exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was cool to see, but even cooler to see in an exhibition format.
I can imagine. Now, there's a lot of talk about the sort of these clues or teases or whatever you want to call them that'll be part of this Imagineering Pavilion. Throwing out Star Wars and Avatar. How much of that are we really going to see?
Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. I don't necessarily really know the answer to that.
Okay.
The Imagineers, they have, surprises of their own, that some of which I'm not even privy to, which
Sure.
is good because I like to be surprised too. So, I think we'll all find out on Friday morning.
Okay, excellent. Now, would you say the D23 Expo as a whole is meant to be sort of a celebration of all things Disney, past, present, and just a hint of the future? Is that really the intention from the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. D23 as a whole, whether it's an expo or anything else that we do, from the magazine to the website, it is a celebration of the past, present, and future of Disney. And, what makes the expo special is that, it's our biannual event where it is the only place where you can go to see everything, that is Disney under one roof. And whether it's, our television series, like a Once Upon a Time at ABC, or, a Teen Beach movie, or, the animation studios or Toon Studios, Imagineering. There are no other opportunities out there for someone who is a true Disney fan to come and experience all things Disney in one place at one time, and that's, I think, what makes the expo special. We're showcasing the creative strength and magic of the Walt Disney Company, in one place over a 3-day period, and I think that it is an important and very special aspect of the expo. But I also think it's a great chance for, I think people also, sort of don't always give enough credit to sort of the or thought to the social aspect of it. It's a fantastic place where we have 45,000 people from around the world coming to Anaheim, all because they love Disney. And I think that one of my favorite places to walk around is the Collectors Forum. It's not just about buying, selling, and trading Disneyana. It's a great place where you see a lot of, friendships being forged and conversations being had and things like that. I think it's great. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well.
Definitely. I think along those same lines, what I keep telling people is if you don't walk through the Imagineering/Parks Pavilion and stop at every exhibit and talk to the folks who are there, you are missing out on a huge part, because those aren't just, sort of, oh, this is a representative cast member. These are the actual people who worked on those projects. And I mean, I could stand there all day long and talk to them about it.
Right. Well, I mean, that's an excellent point, because you look at our first year in 2009, no one did know what to expect. And
right.
The Imagineers did all come down, and they were the hosts at their pavilion. And afterwards, I can't tell you how many of them came to me, and even the feedback from the leadership was the Imagineers loved having a chance to talk about what they do, to get the feedback from fans about the good, bad, and the indifferent. Obviously, our fans aren't shy about, sharing what they think.
Sure.
But that's valuable. And what a great, opportunity to almost have a living, breathing focus group right then and there.
Yeah, very true.
As much as I think our fans enjoy getting to talk to actual Imagineers, our Imagineers enjoy getting to hear from our greatest guests. So it's something that, it's certainly not lost on them, and hopefully it's something that the fans also recognize.
I mean, I remember stepping in there, and there was that huge Cars Land/Radiator Springs Racers model, and standing right in front of it was creative director Kevin Rafferty. I'm just like, oh, he's there and just hanging out.
Yeah, that was pretty remarkable. That model was very cool.
Definitely. So the number one question that I am getting repeatedly leading up to this expo is, how early do I need to wait in line for the arena? How much of a headache is that going to be? Do I need to show up there at 5 a.m, hours before everything? What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, clearly, you've probably read. I mean, we're not allowing lines to form before 5 o'clock.
Right. So
that would be the earliest that anyone can come. I think that it really comes down to how much of a front row seat do you need. We have 4,000 seat availability and a 2,000 seat overflow.
Mm-hmm.
We feel that based on our experiences the last 2 years, that will allow us to accommodate the crowd. There is that. We have grown in that way, so we do have that offering this year. What
about like sort of the overlap between sessions? Like if somebody is lining up for a midday arena presentation, they get into that. Will there already be a line forming for the next one? And by being in the previous one, is that going to pose a problem?
Well, the good thing is, and hopefully timing-wise, I mean, people do need to plan their schedules accordingly. I mean, that's why we, obviously we announced the schedule in advance.
Right.
And we've created the Expo app and things like that. But, we're really excited that this year we were able to introduce Stage Pass, which is sort of our Fast Pass Lite, equivalent. And, so that way you don't have to be stuck standing in a queue for Stage 23 and Stage 28.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you show up 20 minutes before with your Stage Pass, you'll get in. And that way you can enjoy more of the show. So we did want to mitigate the amount of time spent standing in line. Because that certainly was, the feedback we heard loud and clear from last time. And I think that's an important thing to also kind of, look at. I mean, we do listen to what our guests and our members say, and we try to, respond accordingly. So hopefully this year people will be pleased to know that a lot of the venues are, double or more than double the size they were in 2011. Stage Pass, gives a good number of people the chance to know that, yes, I'm definitely getting into this presentation, and no, I don't have to stand in line for 2 hours.
And then everybody just kind of has to form their strategy based on when they can pick up a Stage Pass, what lines they're willing to stand in, their priorities from there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, there's no way you can do everything at the Expo. You do have to pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think maybe one thing that's a little bit different at the D23 Expo than maybe at Comic-Con, because they're the same, in terms of like the embarrassment of riches of type of experiences that you can have. Same thing applies at Comic-Con. There's a lot of great stuff going on all at the same time. You have to choose. But the problem here is that it's all Disney.
Right. I mean, everybody going to the Expo wants to see everything.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I mean, like I said, people will sometimes ask me, well, why don't you, reprise that presentation or, things like that. The truth of the matter is our business units all have so many great ideas of presentations they want to do, which is a good problem to have.
Right.
we are booked solid. We have to turn people away, we're really pleased and proud of the great array of content that we have this year, and I think that people are going to have a really great time. They just have to, like I said, plan accordingly.
Let's talk about the Disney Legends ceremony. And the first one in 2009 that was at the Expo, we saw Robin Williams, we saw Betty White, and talented voice actors. In 2011, I felt like it got huge with the Disney Princess performance that just blew the roof off the place, along with the Muppets, which was an amazing tribute to Jim Henson. This year doesn't seem to be quite as entertainment focused. How are this year's names chosen, and what should we expect from the ceremony?
I mean, we always look to, honor the best and brightest of Disney. I mean, this is our opportunity to, recognize the men and women who have, contributed significantly to the overall Disney legacy. And, I think, this year we have some really great luminaries that we wanted to, recognize. And I think, obviously, a fan favorite is going to be Tony Baxter.
Sure.
I was really happy when we were able to call him and tell him that he'd be getting the Disney Legends Award this year. It was a great phone call, and I think that certainly, like I said, a fan favorite, and for the man who pretty much is behind a lot of my favorite Disney theme park attractions, Disneyland Paris, Star Tours, Splash Mountain, Big Thunder, and the list goes on and on. I think that will be a very special moment for our fans. In terms of the big A-list celebrities, I think we can expect some fun from Billy Crystal and John Goodman, and then not to be understated is Steve Jobs is and was a critical played a very critical role in the success of the modern day Walt Disney Company through his involvement with Pixar and the board of directors. And then there's that little thing called Apple that's put on top of it all. But
right.
He really is an innovator and a person who maybe it was more behind the scenes than some people know, but really was has been critical to the success of Disney in the modern age.
So given that lineup of honorees, it's a tough choice. I mean, it's a great ceremony, I'm sure it will be. It's opposite the voices of the Disney parks and The Good Dinosaur. It's a tough choice to make there. How are fans supposed to make that choice?
Well, I mean, look, everyone has their favorites. I mean, if you are a fan of Monsters Incorporated, you're probably going to want to be there.
Right.
If you have the kind of reverence and love for Tony Baxter that I know many of our fans do, they're going to want to be there for his big day. If you are just a diehard Pixar junkie, which a lot of our fans are, and you have got to know as much as you can about the movie that's coming up next, well, you're going to choose The Good Dinosaur. It's like I said, it's all about what really gets you excited. Where's the most magic, on the magic scale. And that's where you're going to gravitate towards. In terms of our ability to accommodate, when you look at any given day being anywhere between 12 to 15,000 people, these venues are going to fill. And if hopefully everyone will get in where they want to go, and if they don't, there's always other offerings.
Well, speaking of those other offerings, we haven't really talked about the show floor too much outside of the parks pavilion. Are we looking at a bigger show floor, more interactions? I read the thing about the Waffleinator game.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. I mean, I love Phineas and Ferb. It's a fun show. And
yeah.
It's the Waffleinator, obviously, is Dr. Doofenshmirtz's latest evil invention, and it's from the Marvel Phineas and Ferb crossover episode.
Right.
And it's a big 40-foot, interactive sort of game that will be out in front of the Anaheim Convention Center, actually. So people will get a chance to play that. There's a photo opportunity, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So I think people will enjoy that. I always really just think that the Disney Living Pavilion from Disney Consumer Products is fantastic. I mean, it gives you great ideas of how you can incorporate Disney into your daily living, great gift ideas. and it seems so appropriate that at least in 2011 they called it the Disney Living Pavilion, because it really is how you bring the magic of a film or your theme park experience into your home to enjoy, year round. And those pieces of memorabilia or those sort of treasures are something that are really important to the Disney fan experience. So, I always get a big charge out of going through there, and also, I mean, I have a pretty big Disney library at home, so I like to see what the new Disney books are and get an autograph if I can.
Sure, and then I read that I guess at the openings of the days we're going to see a few characters at the Disney store.
Yeah, they'll do their openings like they do at the various actual stores.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first day is maybe Snow White and Prince Charming, then it's Ariel and Eric and Mickey and Minnie. I can't remember which days are which, but something like that.
I've heard sort of rumblings about some special princess dolls that may be released part of the expo.
Look, there are some really great products that they've created over at Disney Store. I think that they certainly recognize the importance of this audience and how much they treasure being able to have sort of that advance opportunity to purchase limited edition or uniquely expo merchandise. And I have to tell you, I was really impressed with the merchandise they had available last time.
Mm-hmm.
They've delivered again. So there's some good surprises coming for anyone who's a collector.
Excellent. I've got just a couple of more questions for you. One, I mentioned briefly Star Wars earlier. Of course, everybody is super excited about Lucasfilm being part of Disney, and Star Wars Episode 7 on the way. And on the schedule, there's this Crash Course in the Force. Is that going to be similar to the Marvel introduction that was given in 2011?
Yeah, it's a similar format, and but it's important to remember that there is something for everyone. So if you are really a Star Wars novice, it's a great introduction to the universe of that great film franchise. But if you are a hardcore know-it-all Star Wars fan, which I'm somewhere in the middle, because I am a big Star Wars fan. I have every Star Wars figure from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I still have them at the house. There still will be something there for you too. So, it should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that one.
And everyone, of course, should attend the big Walt Disney Studios presentation, just in case there might be any surprises there.
Just in case.
Right. Now, I've been playing along with the Optimist alternate reality game, which is said to conclude at the D23 Expo. Do you have anything else that you can add to that? Is it going to be a one-time thing throughout the weekend? I'm not aware of if it's a one-time thing. I thought it was. I don't know the answer to that. Okay.
But I can say that it all is in support of this new film Tomorrowland.
Right.
And I've had the opportunity, especially through the archive, because we've worked with the filmmakers a little bit on that project. It is intriguing.
It is.
And fascinating. I mean, a fascinating take on, and discoveries and on our history and, the background of Walt and Imagineering. And I'm very excited to start seeing, screenings of that, but I think I have a little bit of a wait on that. I did see
right.
Saving Mr. Banks, which was fantastic.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to seeing Jason Schwartzman and BJ Novak at the expo.
Yeah, and especially, they did a lot of research on their roles. I know Jason and Richard Sherman spent a lot of time together at Richard's house. And I think when you see Jason in the film, he really, he gets some of Richard's mannerisms down pretty good.
Good. Well, one last question. What do you think the D23 Expo does for Disney, for Disney fans, for D23? In the end, a week and a half from now, when it's all over, how do you call the event a success?
Well, I think for Disney in general, we are in a very unique position compared to any other company in the world. Our consumers, they're not just consumers. I mean, they have made this company and what it represents a part of their lives. And that is something remarkable and special. Nike, Coca-Cola, you might like a Coke, but, most of us are probably not going to, cuddle up with it and,
Sure.
at night and, what. But, for us, this is, a big give back to our fans. That's why D23 was created, to try to give some sort of a platform to our best guests, our most ardent fans, and celebrate their love of Disney. I think you can certainly acknowledge that there is fantastic creativity and innovation and a pioneering spirit that has come out of the men and women who created Disney and keep Disney going. But the fans are the ones who keep Disney going and keep it out there in the world and make it a living, breathing, alive sort of entity or thing, however you want to characterize it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the company, being able to bring our fans together and sort of share what's coming and see the excitement, that usually is what I hear the most from the business units. Everyone is very happy with the publicity that we get, our ability to roll out new product and showcase new, films or theme park experiences. But what I generally hear back the most internally is how great the fan response was, how great it was to see their faces, hear the applause, the screaming and shouting and bringing the house down. So everyone should definitely bring their lungs along, so they can shout
yeah.
loud. But for us, I think that is the measure of the success. Is have we delivered on the promise of celebrating Disney's past, present, and future? I think in the first 2 years, or the first two expos, we I think delivered on that promise. We try to do that year round with D23, and even more so now with the new free membership level. So I think, that's kind of what the Expo means to us.
Excellent. And I hate to ask you this question already because we're not even at the 2013 Expo yet, but are you already thinking to 2015? Or, Orlando, any changes?
Well, yes, we are thinking about it. But we don't have, there's nothing, more to really announce or say, but, this is something that I know that the company really enjoys doing. Bob Iger is very much supportive of, and I think probably Bob more than anyone recognizes the importance of putting on these events. So the other thing I think maybe not a lot of people recognize it is other than barring I guess the opening of an actual full-fledged Disney theme park, these are the largest events ever created by the Walt Disney Company, and certainly the only ones that incorporate to this scale every part of the company. So definitely historic events that are not to be missed. Yeah,
that's impressive. I never even thought about it that way. So that's a good way to leave it here. Really looking forward to seeing it all come together very, very soon, and all the surprises that are in store.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Ricky.
Yeah, thank you very much. So thanks very much to D23 head Stephen Clark for taking the time to chat with me about the upcoming D23 Expo. This year's Expo definitely is going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to flying out and experiencing another 3 days of nonstop Disney excitement. As I mentioned earlier in the show, you're definitely going to want to follow along with it all, just courtesy of all of our online platforms, whether you go to twitter.com/InsideTheMagic, facebook.com/InsideTheMagic, youtube.com/InsideTheMagic, or on our website at InsideTheMagic.net/D23 Expo. That'll give you a summary of all Expo-related posts, as well as the live coverage, live blogging, photos, all of that at InsideTheMagic.net/D23 Expo Live. Now, I should note, while I'm talking about photos and all of that, the only presentations that are not allowing photos or video or any recording of any sort this year are pretty much the same thing that's gone on the last couple of Expos. It's going to be the Walt Disney Studios presentation on Saturday Saturday, as well as the feature animation presentation on Friday. Those, they show a lot of film clips. They show celebrity surprises. They show, all kinds of things that you're not supposed to record. It's supposed to be for the D23 Expo audience only. Fortunately, Disney does release usually photos and or video clips of some of that, so I'll share as much as I possibly can once that's out. But aside from those two presentations, it's, really go at it. I'm going to be sharing everything that I possibly can throughout the days, so definitely keep following along for all of the excitement for those of you who can't be there. And for those of you who are going to be there, don't forget to come to our meetup on Friday night, August 9th at Trader Sam's at 9 p.m. That's when it's starting. You don't have to show up right then. You can show up anytime within the couple of hours that follow that. We'll still be there, and looking forward to seeing you there, or looking forward to having fun with all of it, or even sharing all of it with you online. And then next week on the show, it's going to be delayed a little bit, of course. I'll still be out in California in the midst of the expo on Sunday. I'll probably release the show either Monday or Tuesday of next week in order to sort of do the wrap-up of all of the excitement from the expo.
Hi, Ricky. Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic Listener Feedback.
All right, going to share a few emails here before wrapping up the show. First one comes in from Aaron, who writes, after hearing your segment on the amazing alternate reality game, The Optimist, that Disney is putting on, it occurred to me that this is the stuff they should be doing for limited time magic. Not all 52 weeks, mind you, but if they just did this instead of the Dapper Dans singing boy bands, they would have a hit on their hands. Now, mind you, the casual guests might not get much out of it, but the avid Disney fans would just go nuts. Amazing job by all that are involved. The research and execution is quite impressive. And then Aaron followed that up with a second email where he wrote, if Disney offered a premium level for their new alternate reality game with special perks and clues not offered to the basic level, would it be called Optimist Prime? Yeah. Thanks for the Transformers joke there, Aaron. I every time I say the Optimist, of course, I immediately think Optimus Prime. Especially with Universal, I mean the Transformers, right, and all of that. I wonder if Disney named this the Optimist just to sort of battle all of that. But anyway, I completely agree. The stuff that's been going on with the Optimist is amazing, and it's only been for a handful of people. I mean, playing along in the parks that have shown up for these special events, it's been maybe 30, 40, 50 people, and that's it. Bringing him to Club 33 and Walt's apartment this week, and all over Los Angeles to these sort of historical areas that Walt Disney had direct connections to. It's great for a Disney fan. Anybody who's been playing along has, I've been playing along from home, and I've been enjoying it just because I've, seen it through other people's eyes, and I'm really looking forward to finally sort of experiencing it in person coming up this week. But yeah, I completely agree. Limited Time Magic should have more sort of special offerings like that. Next email comes in from Deanna, who writes, I was catching up on a recent episode and heard you mention that the Haunted Mansion dinner with Imagineers as an announcement at a previous D23 Expo, and you said you hadn't heard more about it, so I wanted to share an article that I read on the Disney Food blog about a few months ago about just that. There was a Club 33 event. It definitely involved Imagineers and a themed dinner inside the Haunted Mansion, and she sent me the link to that, which, Deanna, thanks very much. I definitely saw that over at DisneyFoodblog.com, and I was extremely jealous of those who had a chance to take part in that event. It looked phenomenal. The themed food, and had like a dessert Madame Leota head in a sugar globe that was glowing, and they got to ride through, and throughout the ride were Imagineers in the ride. There was Alice Davis and Bob Gurr and other folks who worked on the Haunted Mansion. They were actually in the ride with them. Now that is a cool event. For Disney to announce something like that, or at least tease something like that at the last D23 Expo, that you could dine in the Haunted Mansion with Imagineers, Imagineers and then only offer it to Club 33 members. Well, I don't think that's really what everybody had in mind when they made that announcement. It should have been some sort of special event. With that said, it's actually worth mentioning here that when the D23 Expo starts this Friday, that is going to be the 44th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion. August 9th is its anniversary or birthday or whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of fun that that's starting then. Next year, of course, that will mean it'll be the 45th anniversary, and Disney tends to celebrate these things in every 5 years or so. There was certainly a big 40th event 4 years ago. So I look forward to seeing what Disney decides to do with the Haunted Mansion next year. Maybe there'll be a chance to dine with the Imagineers in the Haunted Mansion. I don't know. We'll see. Next email comes in from Nicole, who writes, to start, I know rumors are just rumors, but I'm hearing through the grapevine that the entire Imagination Pavilion, including Captain EO, is closing down for good as of January and being replaced with Phineas and Ferb. Is this accurate? Figment has been the Epcot mascot since Epcot opened. If these statements are true, will he still be kept as the mascot or maybe brought out in character form for meet and greets? Nicole, you're right. Rumors are just rumors. They do seem to pick up steam sometimes. And it doesn't help that there is some artwork floating around out there showing a Phineas and Ferb kind of overlay of the Imagination Pavilion that did come from Imagineering, but there's nothing concrete to suggest that it's definitely going to happen. It is definitely an idea floating around. I can say that 100% in Imagineering, but whether or not it's actually going to happen, whether or not Imagination is closing in January, well, Disney certainly hasn't announced that, so we don't know 100% for sure. I can't imagine they would announce something like that at the Expo, because that would just be met with all kinds of boos and upset fans and that kind of thing. It's not good to announce a closure of something of that magnitude, but I don't know. So I can't say 100% for sure if Phineas and Ferb are moving it, but honestly, does anybody actually ride the current incarnation of Journey into Imagination? I certainly don't ever. I'll stop into Captain EO once in a while, just sort of a, retro nostalgic trip down memory lane. It's enjoyable. I like some of Michael Jackson's music. It's definitely the songs that are in there. It's fun. But it's obviously dated and should probably be replaced with something a little bit more modern. I could see Phineas and Ferb fitting in very well there, but there's already the Agent P World Showcase Adventure, which, obviously is Phineas and Ferb themed. We don't need too much Phineas and Ferb anywhere, whether it's Epcot, Hollywood Studios, wherever. So, I can't answer your question, unfortunately, definitively, but it's, one of those things that I guess is possible. We'll see. And you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and wrap up the listener feedback there. I do have a tremendous amount of emails sort of stockpiled here that I want to share, and I'll have to do it sometime after the D23 Expo, because I imagine next week's show is going to be a very long one as I talk about all things Expo. So we'll just kind of table it all for now. Please feel free to keep emailing me, sending in your messages. Just note that it might take a while before I actually get a chance to respond. And that is it for listener feedback this week. So here we are at the end of show 435. Hopefully you learned a lot from D23 head Stephen Clark as he shared his sort of must-sees of the D23 Expo, some hints and tips and tricks for managing the lines and getting around the Expo and best enjoying it all, and even a little bit of reasoning behind why they have done what they've done. So very interesting there. Certainly looking forward to seeing what Disney rolls out over the course of the Expo. They've said, trying to set expectations, that there's not going to be huge announcements, that there's not going to be, big attractions announced, that kind of thing, but at the same time, there will be surprises. I certainly have a feeling there'll be lots of big movie-related surprises coming out of the animation presentation, as well as Walt Disney Studios, so those of you who are fans of sort of that realm of things, whether it's Disney directly, or Star Wars, or Marvel, or some combination thereof, I have a feeling a lot of that is coming out of the Expo. As far as the parks goes, I really don't anticipate that they're going to sort of change what they've been saying. I don't think they're, setting expectations low and then all of a sudden there's going to be this big mind-blowing announcement. But they are, going to be having hints and clues and sort of teases of things to come. So I'll certainly keep an eye out for those and report on them as I spot them. For the most part, it's just 3 days of fun and celebration of what it is to be a Disney fan from all arms of the Disney company. And that's what's really exciting about the Expo, and I'm really really looking forward to bringing it all to you. Once again, at insidethemagic.net/D23 Expo is where you can go to find all of that coverage, and /D23 Expo live during the event to get all of the latest. And of course, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. I do want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their services by visiting magicaltravel.com. Also, don't forget to search for Capturing Magic in the iTunes Store to download the iPhone apps for Disneyland and Walt Disney World to help you capture those magical moments while you are in the parks. So here we are, end of the show, and again, D23 Expo. It is literally all that's on my mind right now. I just can't stop thinking about it. It is coming very, very soon, and I can't wait to see what unfolds there. So thanks to all of you for listening and for watching each and every week. And have a magical week. Bye.
There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.